Yo, what's up, dudes? I thought I would do something a little bit different for me. Maybe a video like this exists out there somewhere, I'm sure it does, but I haven't seen it, or I haven't seen a title that implies what this is. And maybe, just maybe, this is a little too simple of a way to think about it, but I like to think there's probably 4 things you want to know about key moves in Tekken. So I'm going to try and go over that here a little bit. This is probably for lack of a better way of saying it, like intermediate level players, I would think. Players that basically know like how to backdash, they know their combos. Maybe they're just trying to get into like labbing like matchups and, you know, trying to figure out why they're getting beaten by certain strategies. And I think these 4 things probably help out a lot. So that's what this video is about. Trying to know those 4 things. So to start, we got to define what a key move is. And a key move basically is a move that's being used often, or that has like a high value attached to it. Something that that will be used often, or will be used at like important moments in a game. But just for the sake of this video, we'll go with often. And something that Paul would use often is something like, let's say down forward 1. Alright, we're not going to do that because there's a little bit more attached to it. We're not going to do the moveless version where we're going to record it ourselves. Okay? So, we'll start with just that. So the first thing we want to know is the frame data. Right? So, where does it on block? Okay. As you maybe saw there, +2 for me, -2 for him. What about on hit? Alright, so what that means is we can still move. He's not like overly plus in either situation, so we can still kind of move around him if he's using that move, if that's all there is to it. If that's all there is to it. So we know the frame data. However, I'd like to take into account another move, just to go with the frame data bit a little longer. That's -14. I already knew that, so I punished it properly, Jennifer, but the idea of frame data is to know whether or not a move is punishable, or what the situation is after they do it. Alright, so the second thing you want to know is whether the move is part of a string, which is basically why I picked down forward 1 in the beginning, because I know that it's part of a string. You can see in the move list. I think a lot of people by this point probably know that shit, but just in case they don't, you want to know, hey, is there a follow-up to that move, or in the event that I can block it and I'm plus, is pressing really is that something I can do? And for this move, it's not, because you will get interrupted if you try and press, unless maybe you dick jab. Nope, even if you dick jab, you can't do that, which is important information. So it's important to know whether the move is part of a string, whether the second hit in the string. A lot of the time, like for example, you see here, the second hit in this string is high, therefore you can duck and launch it. The third thing you want to know is the range. How far away does the move hit? Alright, basically, like, when would someone try and do this move? What you gain out of this is knowing when someone would try and do this move. Like, from what ranges. Like, for me, for example, my down forward 1, I'm going to be pressing from like here, but my 3+4, I'd be pressing from way farther back, because that's a long range move. For pull, you can do that same kind of thing with, like, for example, this is long range usually, this is shorter range, this is relatively long range. So you want to know the range to inform your knowledge of when certain moves might be used. This is also kind of long range, also punishable though. By some people it's like pretty easily punishable. You know, you have to react kind of quickly, but it's still not. Still, a lot of high-level pole players will tend towards using this a little bit more because it's safe. And at the wall, it's still really good, obviously. And the final thing that you want to know, at least for the purposes of this video, again, it might be kind of simple, but I think these things sort of can help you build a foundation for how to lab characters and how to make decisions when you're playing those characters. The final thing you want to know is what way to sidestep something. So this, for example, I just did quarter circle back 2, the palm move. That is not the right move. That is an incorrect move. Let's try that again. This move. Alright. So we've already gone through the frame data. We know it's minus 8 for him, which means that if we block it, it's our turn, unless, in this case, he does it from far away. That's why this video is a little bit oversimplified. There are niche things that you have to know like that, but sometimes some of those you can figure out over time. For the purpose of this, let's just keep it kind of simple. So he does this. You can't punish him for it. You can't do anything but block it and then maybe take your turn, but he can block your next hit. However, if you know which way to step this move, you can do that. Except that I didn't actually punish it, because I have great reactions. There you go. So you have just made a safe move extremely dangerous for him by stepping it. Man, I did. Just so we're clear, it is important to time your step, and I'm hella not doing that. Timing is what makes it whiff. However, if I step this way, it's never gonna whiff. This move tracks that way. Yep, every single time. Every single time. So, the reason that I had it layered that way, so if you'll notice the video goes, first, we go frame data, then part of the string, then the range, then which way to step. And that's because, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, I mean, feel free to disagree or like offer other opinions in the comments. That's like, you're basically operating in order of safety. So frame data is like, hey, can I punish it? Can't I punish it? What is the situation after I block it? Because the least dangerous thing you can do in a lot of situations is to block a move. You just stand there, you're not like moving around, you're not at risk of getting clipped by anything. Someone does a low, obviously you can duck for that. But the least dangerous thing is just to kind of stand there and block it. Just an individual move. Second part of a string, once someone does that move, is there a follow-up to it? Natural progression. The range, because backdashing is the next safest thing you can do. So if you can just backdash, can you get out of, what range do you need to be at to get out of that move's range, if you're reading it, to punish it? And finally we have which way to step the move. Stepping is last place to me, because it's probably the riskiest option of the four. You know, you have like a minimum number of frames the step will that you will be allowed to step before blocking, which means you've got about 5 frames where you're open to being clipped by anything. If your backdash isn't so great, that can also be the case, as in your KBD, but for the most part this is going to be slightly safer than just doing this. And a lot of intermediate players won't even step block, which is something that you should be working on. The step blocking is very important. If someone comes up to you and does a jab or starts initiating pressure like this, just, you know, sometimes just step and then hold back after. Very important. Sidewalking, not so great. But anyway, I digress. The reason why it's lost is, again, because it's probably, to me, the riskiest of the options. Especially if you are just doing it. If you're just doing it, you're really liable to get clipped. So, the just do it stuff is really just like, just block, man. Just block. Just backdash. You know? Just block, just backdash, just see what they're doing, and then maybe after a while, if you have like labbed this stuff and you know which way to step, then you can start blowing people up for doing stuff like Pole's quarter circle back too. But again, it's not worth it if you're getting clipped all the time. So that's kind of why I had it layered in that direction. But anyway, that's probably a good stopping point for this video. Just a few things to think about as far as key moves in Tekken. If you know what to do against those moves, most likely you will have a much easier time planning a strategy around those moves. Or at least like knowing what to look for when you play certain players or characters or whatever. Before I get off, I am planning on doing that Brian tutorial, but I might just go ahead and make it like a long tutorial, because knowing me, if I don't stick with it, I just don't do it. So instead of splitting it up into parts as I was going to before, mainly because most people don't like to watch long videos, I think I will just go ahead and do a long video just so that it's out there, regardless of if that many people watch it, because I do not like saying that I'm going to do it and then just not doing it. That's kind of a pet peeve of mine on the part of other people, and it's something that I do a lot, so it leads me to being very annoyed with myself. But anyway, if you took the time to watch this, I appreciate it. Hope it helped you out, and you can catch me streaming at twitch.tv/BenjiBoy054, and that's the only plug that I got. Alright, thanks dudes. Later.